What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode where we're going to talk about Russian hackers again. This time, they're targeting U.S. defense contractors and stealing sensitive information. Now, you might recall our last episode where we discussed Russian hackers, or at least hacker groups that sympathize with the Russian goals. They were bombarding Ukrainian servers for companies and government organizations, including the largest bank of the Ukraine, as well as the Ministry of Defense web presence and the Armed Forces web presence. In case you missed that episode on the Ukrainian distributed denial of services attack, the link to that episode is above. Now, I definitely classify the attacks on the Ukraine as cyber warfare, and the attacks we'll talk about today are not exactly the same thing, but the sensitivity of the information does have the potential to be used in a cyber as well as a real world war. I hope you'll watch the full episode, but in case you already know the story, you can now skip directly to my insights at the end of the episode, right from the timeline below. For the rest of you, let's go through the story together and see what we can learn to protect ourselves and others.
Oh, drat these computers. They're so naughty and so complex. I could pinch them.
According to a statement by the CISA, Russian-backed actors had targeted cleared defense contractors, or CDCs, and subcontractors that supported the Department of Defense in a range of areas, including weapons and missile development, vehicle and aircraft design, surveillance and reconnaissance, and combat communications. Compromised entities include contractors supporting the U.S. Army, Air Force, Navy, Space Force, DoD, and intelligence programs. Through intrusions against defense contractors, Russian-backed actors had acquired sensitive, unclassified information as well as export-controlled technology. Under normal circumstances, technology subject to export control laws requires a license to be released to foreign entities, necessitating approval from the U.S. government. Though there is no mention of classified documents being stolen, details suggest that the nature of the information gives a significant understanding of U.S. military operations. Congratulations, you're doing a great job by wanting to learn about Russian hackers stealing sensitive military data from U.S. Department of Defense contractors. I appreciate your support by watching my episode about it. If you're new to my channel and have not already, please consider subscribing to my channel and smashing the bell to be notified when I upload new episodes where I give you insights into the newest important cybersecurity news stories like this one. With my insights, you can be better prepared to protect your company, your family, and yourself against these and other cyber attacks. So hit the subscribe button now and let's continue to learn about this story together. The Defense Technology Security Administration promotes and defends the United States national security interests by protecting critical technology while building relationships and interoperability with allies and partners. The DTSA mission is to guard against critical technology exports that threaten national security objectives and undermine the U.S. foreign policy. The DTSA is the principal defense agency responsible for providing direction and stewardship of technology security policies and making informed, coordinated recommendations on the national security implications of international transfers of controlled technology, goods, and services subject to licensing requirements of the Departments of Commerce and State under DoD Directive 5105.72. The DTSA coordinates the DoD review of Department of State license applications for the export of these defense-related goods and services under the International Traffic in Arms Regulations and Department of Commerce license requirements regarding the export of sensitive dual-use goods and technologies under the Export Administration Regulations. That basically says that this organization, DTSA, is responsible and does the checks and balances to make sure that any technology or good that could be used against the U.S. in terms of the national security is regulated. It requires a license to export it to another country or entity for their use, so that it only gets in the hands of trusted partners. Although the information is not classified, the acquired information provides significant insight into U.S. weapons platforms development, deployment timelines, vehicle specifications, and plans for communications infrastructure and information technology. The text of the alert said, by acquiring proprietary internal documents and email communications, adversaries may be able to adjust their own military plans and priorities or hasten technology development efforts inform foreign policy makers of U.S. intentions, and target potential sources for recruitment. So given the success of current efforts, the FBI, NSA, and CISA anticipate that Russian state-sponsored cyber actors will continue to target defense contractors for information in the future. So what can we learn? Although Russia is known for harboring cybercriminal gangs, direct attribution of cyber activities to Russian state-sponsored actors, in other words, saying flat out, Russia is responsible for this, is very rare, and it represents a forceful statement from the U.S. agencies involved. As tensions continue on the Russian border with Ukraine, analysts have been particularly sensitive to state-sponsored cyber attacks from the country. These hacks hit contractors supporting every U.S. military branch, including the Air Force, Army, Navy, and Space Force, as well as firms that work on defense and intelligence programs. Yes, the information is dubbed non-classified, but it is sensitive information about a wide range of topics that gives an adversary insights into U.S. strategy, product launches, as well as readiness and current standing of the U.S. on specific international topics. Given the nature of the information, it is hard to see a normal hacker group targeting these entities. Again, we're talking about sensitive information about U.S. military equipment and tactics and targets. How would a normal ransomware group use this info? Well, they threaten to make it public if you don't pay. Well, that didn't happen. Now, these attacks have been happening since at least 2020. In some cases, the agency says these hackers gained access to defense contractors' networks and obtained unclassified information like internal email communications or product development timelines and details on contracts. In multiple instances, the threat actors maintained persistent access for at least 6 months. Now, although the actors have used a variety of malware to maintain that persistence, the FBI, NSA, and CISA have also observed intrusions that did not rely on malware or other persistent mechanisms, meaning they had credentials to access the network. In instances when the actors have successfully obtained access, regular and recurring exfiltration of emails was performed. Way back in 2021, threat actors exfiltrated hundreds of documents related to companies' products, relationships with other countries, and internal, personal, and legal matters. This sensitive information could help adversaries of the United States adjust their own military plans and priorities. Imagine knowing that the U.S. will have a new technology X that can do this, that, and the other thing next year. The same type of tool your country's working on. Now that you know the deadline for the U.S., you can push your team to beat them at delivery. This is something that every company wants. Be the first to market and say, drown out the competition. Or what if you find out the information about the people involved? You could sabotage them or go after their home networks or even use a software like Pegasus to infect their phone and be able to listen in on conversations they have at work. This is the stuff of spy movies, but not only does Pegasus exist, but there's also a kind of a clone called Quadream, and I'm sure that there are a couple of other versions out there that we just haven't found yet. Of course, it would be great to know the exact exploit used, to get into these contractors, but all that has been made public so far is that the threat actors use tactics including spear phishing, credential harvesting, and brute force attacks against accounts and networks with weak security. Weak security. The fact that we know they exfiltrated emails could mean that they, exploited a vulnerability in Exchange server. But again, maybe they brute force someone's email account to gain access to the email data. Other tactics could include, exploiting Log4Shell or Zoho vulnerabilities. Now, I would expect that the Department of Defense will enforce contractors to follow a base level of cybersecurity and potentially be required to report their compliance in a more proactive form, like providing documentation of their infrastructure and that they have, applied patch XYZ to a system when a flaw is made public. So in the end, are you or your company directly affected by this attack? Not unless you're, one of the contractors or the U.S. Department of Defense. But understanding these kinds of threats can help you understand what could potentially be knocking on your door to steal your company's secrets. With that, I say thanks again for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already, and smash the bell if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.